Hello everyone. So now in this session we are going to learn what is exactly the API testing. The API testing is very high in demand in these days, and almost if you find any job detail out of 10 companies, so out of 10 companies you will get 8 companies are demanding or looking the API tester. So you can understand how important the API testing is now in these days. So moving forward, first of all, what is an API? We all know that software application works as per the set of instruction which is written, and they follow our instruction. So how the API? What is exactly the API? So see in the definition, when the software or elements, if we are communicating with any other, or for suppose we I'm communicating, I'm talking with you, so in that scenario I need a graphical user interface. I need a something which I can relate in my mind. Okay, I'm talking with this person, I'm talking with that person. But the software application does not need a graphical user interface to communicate with each other. They only exchange the data and the functionalities between one system to another system, and the mediator which is who does is this all the things is called API, application programming interface, right? So the API is a set of programming code that enables data transmission between one software product to another software product. Fine. So this is basically a mediator between the one software and the another software, and it uh, exchange the data. Like one software sends some data, another software received and sent some information. So this is the structure of the API, that how the API behaves, and what are the rule in the API. See, in a web app in browser, as in this place, we are in this place, we open the application and sends us some request via internet, right? So the internet sends a request to the web server, and web server sends a request to the database. So this way, and the database sends a response, and then we get the response. So this way, we get all the information, right, on the client side. This is also known as a client side, where the end user works, right? So now see some of the important thing. For any software application, there are three layers. If that application is developed, that application is a three-tier application, because some of the application like PHP is two-tier application. So this structure is not applicable for PHP application. But yes, all the application which is except the PHP and the window-based application. If any application is a web-based, then there is a three-layer application or three-tier application. So the presentation layer, where the or user interface, where the end user works, where we, you, we open the gmail.com, we open the flipkart.com, amazon.com. So that is called presentation layer. So to validate those things, that is called GUI testing, or the presentation layer testing. So when we enter user ID and password, so my system sends that user ID and password to the database, and database then validate, okay, this user has this user password. So now I have to allow him to next page. So here we enter user ID password that goes to this place, and now this place, this business layer sends a request to the database layer, and then database layer communicates back to this layer. Okay, this user is authentic and allow him to log in, and so on. We get login into the application. So all the things is done at business layer, or um, where the code is written on this business layer or the middle layer, or this is also known as uh, web server or application server. On this layer, the business logic is written. On this layer, how the business logic will perform the end user's input, perform activity on end user's input, and how it will communicate with the database layer. So these things are written on the business layer. In presentation layer, only CSS or HTML information. Now we understand that how the software works. So this picture will depict you something more clear about how these three layers works. So this is the client, this is the application server, and this is the database, right? End user sends a request to the application server sends a request to the database server. And what the end user can do on database in any application, not only the enterprise application, but in any application, what as an end user you can do it. Either you can uh, insert some values. Let's see an example. Suppose I'm going to register myself on Gmail. So I need to provide all my details like first name, last name, the email ID, what I want to make. So what in fact I'm doing, I'm inserting one value in the Gmail registration page data table, right? So that end user can perform insert in terms of database. Now, if I log in, so what in fact I am doing, I'm selecting my inbox page. Like starting entering my user ID and password and click on submit button. So in fact, one uh, query is going on database, and it is saying select star from user table. Let's say the user in user table, my all information is saved. Select a star from user table where user ID and password is this. So I'm getting my information, right? Now, suppose my name is Rahul Kumar is there. Username I have mentioned the Rahul Kumar. So next day I want to update my name Rahul Singh. So in that case, what I'm doing, I'm just updating my name at there, right? And after one week or 2 week, I want to delete my email ID from the Gmail, or I want to close my Gmail account. So I can do it, delete. Nothing else I can do except these four activity in any application, no matter that is a ERP application. In fact, the delete is also we cannot do it. This is just for a soft delete, not a hardcore delete. So basically, we perform these four action: insert, select, and update. But we are not writing this. We are not performing this action directly on the database. Fine. We are performing this action from the uh, client side. So once we perform, suppose I have created one user ID. So I entered this here. my username, first name, password, first name, last name, user ID, password, confirm password, and click on submit. So it sends a request to this place that is called business logic layer. So this place or business logic layer just understand that okay, from which form, from which location this information is coming, and what the business logic I need to implement, and what I have to communicate to the database. So based on that, this form location, okay, this is from registration page. Okay, no need to do anything. I have to send first name, last name, and email ID, password to the database. But here the database says that, hey bro, I can understand only these four type of query. I can understand only SQL queries. I cannot understand the English or the Java language or whatever the language in that application is developed. So send me in only SQL query. Okay, fine. So here that thing, that information, the user first name, last name, the username, password, and confirm password are going to insert in the data table in the form of SQL query. And once the database accept that query or execute that received query, then of course it need to be communicate to the app server that what happened with your queries. So it will respond to the application server. But here in this response, the database does not say that okay, I have executed your query and your query is something wrong or your query is good. It's only sent some response code, and that is in this format: 200, 201, 202, 404, and this format. But as an end user, I also want to know that what happened to my request. So if I get these information, so this is a little bit complex for me. If I'm not technical, then I cannot understand. So in this case, what happened to here? The developer write a code that if we receive 201 response, then I will display at here user created successfully. If I received 404, then I will display here page not found, right? So once the application server gets a response from the database, it sends a response to the client as well, and that response is a very user friendly manner: user created, display result, user updated, not found, in this format. Understand this? So this is the application, how the software application really works. And not all the software not a window based application, but because that is only a two-tier application, client and the server. But all the except the PHP, all the web application are working minimum three layers, that is called three-tier application. Java is also n-tier application. So there are multiple set of database we can say, associate our application server. There are multiple application server as well. So we understand that how the software works. So as we saw, this is application server and this is database layer, request response. So we understand that, we saw that insert, select, update, delete, these four thing database need to be executed. So while we test the application server, we have these four things: post, get, put, delete. We do all these four activity by this thing. There are many methods, there are many words, these are called the method: post, get, put, delete. But there are many methods, but as of now I have seen that we have discussed about the app one example, and we have seen that end user can perform only four activities, not apart from this activity. So we are going to cover in our API testing these all four activity, which is in API terminology is called methods or verbs. And this is the response code. So API testing using Postman. Why we are using Postman? There are various tools available to do the API testing, but in recent days, the Postman is easy to use, open source, and very easy to configure. And there is no need to. You can also it also use your cloud account to save all the methods which you create. So in suppose you created method and close the Postman, and next time when you open you will get all the methods. So it is very user friendly, usable feature is this in this, and also the open source, one of the most important thing, and very easy to learn. So the database, we are executing these four queries for API. From API or the application server, we are sending this four type of request, or four type of, we are applying four type of method to perform the database these four activity. So now which method applies which activity, or which method is equivalent to which activity? So see, post is equal to insert, get is equal to select, put is equal to update, and delete is equal to delete. So these four method is equivalent to these things, right? So now from the Postman, we are going to use all these four methods, and we will check that, okay, in my database, what is going to happen. Then we can understand that, okay, this way the application server is being tested. So there are different type of API, that some of private API, partner API, public API. Private API is something like uh, in-house API. You can say that in IT company there are written API which is being used and controlled by their in-house developer. Partner API, that I I'm using some of the uh, you can say that I'm using API for from the third party, and I'm using their API. Public API, some API is open source, and you can use it, and based on the use cases. So you understand what is the use cases. So there are some of the, based on the use cases, these are database API, operating system API, remote API, web APIs. So these are the some of the things which you should know. But yes, these are not mainly asked in the interview, but yes, you should know these things of when we are learning something, then we should know about their types, and based on the different category, what are the different set of rules they apply. API specification and protocol. So there are remote process, RPC, procedure call, then SOAP based, and REST. So mainly we are going to cover off in this REST API now. As we have discussed that post and post is for uh, inserting a data, right? Entering a new record in the data table. So for inserting a new record in the data table, we write a query in the SQL. insert, let's say my table name is a student, and there is column like ID, first name, last name, program, course. So if I am inserting or creating a new record in my database, so what I will write SQL query, insert into a student and the column name and the values, right? So if I apply the postman, or if I send a this, I want to create a new record by using the API, and this is for the post and the select query. It means what select is equivalent to get. So for writing a select query, what SQL query we write is select star from a student, and we are passing some of the condition where ID equal to 101. So this is the where ID equal to 101. This is the condition we are passing in a table name a student. So insert into a student. Coming to the first query, insert into a student ID first name, this is this. So what exactly we are doing? We are creating a one record in our database. So, and this is from the directly in the database. So now if I want to use the API, so we have seen that insert is equivalent to post method or verbs. So we will write a post we will use the post method to create a new record in database. So what would how we can do it? So we can use, let's say API is deployed on my local server. So for post we have the URL localhost, and I'm running that API on 8089 port, and that path is a student. So I'm giving localhost colon 8089 slash a student, right? And let's say my table name is a student, and for the get I'm giving the same path with the query string. I'm passing in uh, I'm the same URL, and I'm passing the query string where ID equal to this one in this URL. So we can see here we are passing the same thing here. So this is called query string, right? So as of now, just I'm explaining you what the post and what the get. In our next letter session, we will know each and everything. What is the URL and URL, and what is the local host and 8089 and the student and query string. And do we really say this is a URL or something else we say? So we will discuss this in our later session. But as of now, just understand that for the post method, we are just passing this URL, then put and delete. See, for update, we write a query like update a student, set email equal to Rahul, where at the rate yahoo.com, where ID equal to 101. So here what we are doing, so see in this query, what we are doing, we are passing some value. In this query, we are not passing any value. We are only giving the condition in the URL, right? And in this, we are not giving any condition in the URL. We are just passing this thing. Now coming to put, we are giving the condition and some value as well. Then delete, we are just giving the condition. We are not passing any value, right? This is where clause is, it is for condition. So for update, we write localhost, and this is a student, and this. For delete, the same thing. So we can say that, see that localhost 8089 slash a student 101. Then in delete also, and again in get also. So these three method or verbs have same type of URL, right? Except the post method. So see, in post we have used this, in get we have used this, put this, and the delete. So for every method we are using the same type of URL, but except a post method, right? So this way we will see in our next session that what is the different and why we are using the same type of URL. Or as I told you earlier, do we really say this is a URL or something else? Okay, so as of now, uh, I'm wrapping up, and see our next session. See, this is for the sending data, and this is for the sending query string, and right. So as of now, I'm just wrapping up. Okay, see you guys.